Greetings everyone, Brad here with Mild-Mannered EDC. Today we're going to look at an offering from Civivi. That's right, the Civivi Pintail. There you go. Interesting knife. I'll give you a little better look here. There you go. I went with the sort of blinged out version with the Damascus steel and wood scales. Yeah. So Civivi, for those of you that don't know, is what used to be sort of the more budget end of the We Knife companies. So you have We Knives, and then Civivi was sort of their budget end. They've now announced a budget end. So Civivi is sort of bumped up into the middle tier here of knives. And that means, you're going to get a little better materials probably in terms of steel, hardware, et cetera, et cetera. What do you say about that? I mean, I guess, they've now created 3 companies in one company. I mean, I don't know, whatever. It's neither here nor there, I guess, on some level. But I do think it probably is a manifestation of the fact that Civivi's kept sort of climbing the ladder in terms of price. And so I think as they continued to do that, they probably thought, okay, I don't know if we can call this a true budget brand anymore. When a lot of your knives are pushing, $75 to $100, that ain't budget. I'm sorry. So at any rate, that's kind of where this is sitting right now. So that said, let's go ahead and take a look at this knife. We will do a classic mild-mannered review today. But before we get into that, we'll talk a few specs, and then we'll do a couple of size comparisons, and then we'll get underway. So, Civivi Pintail. We've got a blade length here on the Pintail of 3 inches on the money. We've got a blade, oops, I closed it up. A blade thickness here of 0.10 inches. A handle length, when it's all closed up, there you go, of 4 inches, a handle thickness of 0.46 inches. Overall, when it's all opened up, tip to tail, 7 inches with a very agreeable weight of 2.76 ounces. So definitely under that ounce and inch for those of you that really look for that. This is a knife manufactured out of China, and it'll run you about $83. So there you go. Now it does come in a couple other variations. I should note, I think there's a version in S35VN steel. You can get it in micarta. I don't remember if there was a G10 option out there, but anyways, and actually I don't know if there was something other than the S35 and this Damascus either, but those were the options I kind of saw online, and they were all around that $83 price. So there you go. A couple of size comparisons. How about a Kershaw highball and a Ontario Rat number 1, happens to be my Spidey Rat. And then how about a classic mild-mannered Swiss Army knife? So there you go. That's sort of what we got sitting here in the size comparison range of things. Now,
well, we're waiting.
Let's go ahead and get underway with our review, shall we? We talk blade, we talk action, we talk scales and hardware, and ergos and carry when we do a classic mild-mannered review. So let's talk blade. As I mentioned, you have a Damascus style or Damascus steel style blade here. I don't know exactly what steels they use to sort of fold together to create this Damascus, but that's what you have. I think it's done very, very nice. It's very attractive. I think Damascus steel is definitely it's totally an aesthetic preference. Some people really like it. Some people think it's too busy. Some people, everybody's kind of all over the spectrum on that. I'm wishy-washy on it. Some knives I like it, some I don't. I liked this particular configuration quite a bit, and so I went ahead and got this version. But I actually don't have very much Damascus or Damas steel, which is a totally separate thing in my collection. So there you go. But we do have on this Damascus style blade a very attractive drop point, along with a very, very nice hollow grind. Yeah, that comes down to a really slicey edge. Let's see if I can get this focused. Yeah, this thing, the thickness behind the edge on this is pretty ridiculous. I mean, it's really nice and slicey, as you'd hope for and expect with a hollow grind, but nicely done. You do have a nice attractive swedge here, obviously some thumb studs, little tiny bit of jimping here right up at the top, more for almost aesthetic than anything else, to be honest with you. The grind termination point here, right there, done very well. The grind is very nice, very even. Again, something I've continued to look at more and more as I grow in this hobby. So done very, very nice. So overall, you know, I like this blade a lot. I think it's attractive. I think it's well done. It certainly does what a blade should do, first and foremost, which is cut. And this blade cuts really, really well. So let's move on to action. Now, action, you have a couple of options here. Well, more than a couple, I guess, several. You can thumb flick it open, you can spidey flick it open, or finger flick it, and you can flip it with the flipper tab. All of those paired with a very, very good detent to give you just a nice, crisp opening mechanism and action. The sound is great. It's just, really, really, really nice action. And, you know, I had a couple Civivis there where the action I was sort of on. They nailed it. So really nice job with the action. As you can see, pretty darn false shutty as well. And, you know, just super easy to flick. And I'm not the greatest finger flicker there, but yeah, this thing with thumb studs, no argument there at all. So really do like the action. Now, the action is running on ceramic caged ball bearings, if you can see those in there, kind of. Probably not. And it is a liner lock. There you go. And it is no blade play, no blade rock. Definitely everything you'd want. Came centered, remains centered. Maybe, you know what? Now that I'm looking at it, I've been playing with this quite a bit. It's maybe a touch off here to the show side, but, you know, maybe I need to just tighten the pivot up a little bit. As I've said, I've been kind of messing with this quite a bit. So anyways, there you go. That's what I've got for action so far. Pretty impressed with the action. Definitely liking it. Scales. Now, I can't even begin to pronounce this word. C-U-I-B-O-U-O-U-T-I-A, whatever kind of wood this is. I don't know. I think it's related to a rosewood, something along those lines. It looks very rosy, rosewoodish. So almost even perhaps a gold, you know, and I don't know if I'd go as far as golden ebony, but it's definitely kind of in that realm. So that's sort of what you're sitting here. This one particularly is kind of a sort of mahogany walnut kind of color. So yeah, that's what we've got here with these scales. Really enjoying the wood. It's they're nicely done, finished, sanded off. Everything looks really good. Black hardware, black stainless steel liners. And the liners, if we can see inside here, and let's see if we can get a little bit of that imagery. I don't know if you can see. Yeah, maybe just a little bit. Are skeletonized, which was a very nice touch, and I think definitely lends itself to why this sucker is so as light as it is. You do see that incorporating a lanyard loop. And then, like I said, black hardware, you've got this Civivi pivot, which is a nice touch that Civivi has been doing lately, along with, as I mentioned, that stainless steel deep carry pocket clip. So that's sort of what we got here with scales and hardware. Moving on to ergos and carry. Ergos are good. I'm not going to say they're great. I'm going to say they're good. Ergos are good. For me, they are pretty good. There's a little bit of bite here on the flipper tab into my index finger. And that could just be my Shrek-like sausage fingers doing that. But you can choke up, although it's a bit precarious because this definitely could cut you if you're not careful. So I'm not entirely sure this is meant to be choked up on like that, quite like that. But the ergos are pretty darn decent. Little bit coming off this clip here on the back. For me, a little bit of a hot spot. I'd like to maybe see this spoon over just a little bit more on the edge of that clip, but not the ends of any kind of terrible thing. It just sort of is what it is. And I've mentioned before, you know, what's the word I'm looking for?
Just say it.
Ergos and hot spots, I'm sorry, can be very subjective. There it is. Spit it out, Brad. So that's sort of what we've got there. But, you know, by and large, ergos are decent. I think I'm, you know, B- kind of level, in my opinion. B-. So there you go. That's what we've got with ergos. Now, carry is definitely higher than that. The carry is I'm giving a good review of here because you've got this sort of nice, well, not sort of, you do have a very deep carry pocket clip combined with, if I can get that to focus, there you go, deep carry pocket clip combined with recessed hardware, although the actual clip isn't fully recessed into the wood, but it is an ambi clip, so left or right side, tip up only, but at least it's ambi that way. And it is canted slightly, so it's angled sort of to kind of fit in your pocket well. And because this is light and relatively, it's not a thick, beefy knife or anything like that, the Ergos and the carry on this is quite good. So lots to like from the carry standpoint. So where does that leave us on this particular little Civivi? Overall, this is a good knife. This actually might be one of my favorite Civivis that I've sort of come across recently. This is come across. Isn't that something? I think that's something like old people say. Come across lately. This is a really good Civivi. Apart from just having a really good action, the fit and finish, everything you'd expect, but just kind of overall, there's just a lot that I like about this. I think it's attractive. It's a good size, at least for my preferences. And yeah, I'm just really digging this. Is it anything sort of mind-blowing in terms of, it looks like what a lot of other Civivis kind of look like, just with different iterations in terms of steel type and scale hardware and some other little touches here and there. But it definitely does look like a Civivi knife, in my opinion. So for $83, hey, I think you're getting most of your money's worth here. Would I like to see that a little less? Sure, but it is what it is. Overall, I like this a lot. I think it's a decent knife. If you're looking for a kind of fancier looking type knife without breaking that $100 mark, but that will give you some good performance and really is put together very well, I think, and carries well. That's the other thing. It's not weighing your pocket down or anything like that. It just carries well. I think this is a really nice option. So definitely a win here in my book. It's not perfect. It's got some foibles, but by and large, done very, very well. So there you go. That's what we've got here with the Civivi Pintail. I hope you've enjoyed this review. If you're new to the channel, welcome. Glad to have you here. Please consider subscribing. I'd love to have you part of the mild-mannered family here. And for those of you that are always here to support me and say all the kind things you do in the comments regularly, I really appreciate it. It means a lot. Thanks for sticking with me, especially since my content isn't always the most regular in terms of coming out. So anyways, with that, stay safe out there, everybody. Be mild-mannered to one another, and all the best.